St. Pat's versus Shamrock Rovers, or Shamrock Rovers versus St. Pat, and really and truly, there was only one team who went out to win this game.
Yeah, big time. Really, really was. I think you could even tell in the open half an hour or so, it was sort of a typical derby game, wasn't it? It was quite cagey at times, but even at that, Shamrock Rovers had the better of the goings, especially in the midfield. And I think this is where the game was really won in those key midfield battles. I probably a little shout out for Pat's point of view. Robbie Benson was man marking Gary O'Neill. I thought he'd done a pretty good job of that. He kept O'Neill quiet throughout most of the game, but that opened up a lot of chances for Dylan Watts and Richie Towell, who were sitting quite deep, probably especially talking about Dylan Watts more than usual, and it gave them a lot of free rein. Yeah, the goal came around the half an hour mark, and it was probably sign of things to come. It was the first real chance that they probably had in the game. But then after that, the game started to come to life. Richie Towell had a good heading chance immediately after the goal. Danny Mandrew, who I thought was particularly quiet actually in the game.
Mandrew, get it right. Even the commentators were getting it wrong.
Yeah, everybody wasn't it? There seems to be a different of opinions on the guy's name. But it's mad for someone that scored 2 goals, gotten the man of the match. I thought he was fairly quiet. He had a couple of chances that he really should have been putting away. But yeah, I think 3-1, it's not that it doesn't flatter Shamrock Rovers. It was a comfortable win for them in the end. Alan Manus didn't have an awful lot to do, bar the goal. And even I think even the Pats goal was more down to slowness on the defence. They were slow to set the wall up, slow to get moving. We've seen that in a couple of moments in the Shamrock Rovers defence this season, but it was a little bit of luck came with it as well. Took a slight deflection. So besides that and a chance from Darragh Burns, Alan Manus had a comfortable night as well between the sticks.
Where do you think Stephen O'Donnell will be disappointed with how he set up? He set up really not to lose the game, to maybe try and nick it. They never looked like they were on the front foot. And as you said, their goal came from probably a bit of lackadaisiness from the Shamrock Rovers defence, setting up their wall. And Manus had, thought he had an age to do it. But yeah, Pats were really disappointed. When they went there at the start of the season, they were on the front foot. They were pressing up high. They when they got on the ball, when they won it back, it was inside Shamrock Rovers half. They were causing Rovers all sorts of problems at the start of the season. It looked a little bit fearful today.
Yeah, he did. And I thought, going in 1-1 at half time, obviously with the Pats goal coming at the stroke at half time, it's obviously going to change the team talks. And I was expecting to see a sort of a more adventurous Pats team come out in the second half, but just didn't really see that, I thought. It was a lot of times even seeing they had all 11 men behind the ball, sitting back at 1-1. And that nullified any chances of, going on the break. I thought Darragh Burns is probably one of the boy sparks for Pats. But even he was left to feed off scraps. There was you'd have the likes of Chris Forrester or Alfie Lewis. They'd pick up the ball deep, and because everyone's behind the ball, there was just no options of people going forward. There was no chance of catching Shamrock Rovers in the break. Yeah, it was disappointing in that aspect. It really was, and it made it easy on the Shamrock Rovers defence, who, in fairness, didn't put a foot wrong at all. I thought Ronan Finn had a great game. I thought he's been brilliant all season. Liam Scales, going forward, Scales it's mad. Now he's a defensive-minded player, but he's one of Shamrock Rovers' most dangerous players going forward, and that says a lot when you look at the attacking talent that he have in that team. Rory Gaffney as well was excellent today for Shamrock Rovers as he has been this season. But yeah, definitely from a Pat's point of view, it's really disappointing to see that just how deep they were sitting and how defensive minded they went out with, because it's not something you'd associate with a past performance this season at all.
But they didn't really play with a centre forward though, did they?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't even start with one at all.
I mean, Benson was the furthest forward a lot at the time, and so what does that say? If you're the same Pats fan anyhow, so let alone that you go and you do your piece, you're a sports writer, you do stuff for the League of Ireland and football writing. So when you have one hat on and then you have your fans' hat on, how does it make you feel when you're watching the game and your team really aren't going out to win the game?
Yeah, it's really disappointing, isn't it? Because if you look at this, obviously it's always going to be a big game, Pats and Rovers, Dublin Derby. But this is realistically, this is one of the biggest derbies in years from a St. Pat's point of view. Pats now had a realistic, depends where you're looking at, they had a realistic chance of challenging for the league title, and especially with Shamrock Rovers now have a game in hand, and there's that point gap now starting to open up with that game in hand in mind. Yeah, it's a game that you really thought he would have went out and played a bit more of urgency to it going forward. Especially when you look like this is a Pats team that rolled over Bray 6-0 last week and looked very comfortable in doing so and had a lot of positives going forward. And we just didn't see that at all today. I know, look, that one lucky with Coughlin has struggled with an injury. Matty Smith is out injured. But, they still had Melvin Lambert off the bench, still had Nwoko off the bench. I know he only recently signed, but the two more proven central strikers that if Stephen O'Donnell was probably going to take a bit more of a risk, he probably could have went with them instead of, like you said, having someone like Robbie Benson leading the line, which that's just not his position.
Yeah. Why do you think he made that decision? Why do you think he's after making a decision to, settle or maybe it looks like it's trying to keep the team in the game where if they don't lose, they're still in it, and results could go anyway in other games. Should he not be on the front foot and go, well, this is our chance here to take points off them? It's like a 6-pointer.
Yeah.
Chance to take points off them and really, really put Rovers under a bit of pressure. And then when they go out for their next game, will they wobble?
Yeah, it's a tough one. And it's this disappointing thing, I think, from a Pats point of view. These are the games that have let Pats down this season. Even if you just look at the Shamrock Rovers games this season, you can see that late in the opening day of the season in Tallaght, you can see that late to lose the game in Richmond Park not too long ago. So, we can all talk about how Pats have been going on such a good run, and they have, and it's still been a successful season. One bad result doesn't change that, but yeah, it's definitely been disappointing to see that he failed to take that win off Shamrock Rovers at all this season, because I think realistically, if they have any aspirations of win the title, they're going to need to do that, and they've only one opportunity now to do that in the league against Shamrock Rovers remaining this year. In terms of why do I think they've done it again, I think I don't know if it's a cop-out. I think it is when you look at the suspension of Matty Smith and the injury of Ronan Coughlin, and would you risk Melvin Lambert and Nwoko? They're only coming back into the team, respectively on loan from Redden and Valletta FC. I don't know if you're going to. It depends what have they been like in training. When did they arrive back into Dublin? This and that and the other. But yeah, it is. I think there's a lot of moving parts going forward. What we said this past couple of weeks, haven't we, that the Pats squad is light, especially going forward. They really while Pats are, I think now they dropped down to the second highest goal scorers in both divisions, but they're relying on people chipping in. They're relying on the likes of Benson, Forrester, Coughlin, Bournes chipping in with goals more than having that out-and-out striker, which they badly need. They really, really do.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, I thought they did very well in the first half. They kept a good shape. Even though Shamrock Rovers had the better chances, they did limit them to the amount of chances that they did have, and they shifted the pitch from one side to the other and blocked off gaps. But over time, it told. And the first goal, a huge gap through the middle of the pitch. Yeah. Good pass in, I think it was to Watts, and then first time pass into Mandreu, and what a finish. And you talked about him. He wasn't really in a game, but you always say that about a forward player. You will keep that kind of player on that pitch if he's not doing much in the game, but he's finishing chances like the 2 goals that he scored. Yeah. He's definitely something that Pats are missing.
Yeah, big time. And like I said, like it's not just away from the 2 goals. Even about 10 minutes after the first goal he scored, he had a massive chance, the free header inside the Pats box. That we should be putting them chances away. And I think it was Graham Gartland again on commentary gave man the match. I probably would have went with Gaffney myself. I thought Gaffney was excellent here today. I know I said that already. But even I think again around the 70th minute, Mandrew had another good header chance. So realistically, he could have at least came out with a hat-trick in this game. But he is the type of player. It's that bit of quality, isn't it, that Pats are missing. And not only Pats, that I think a lot of teams, probably bar Shamrock Rovers and maybe Bows at the minute, it's that little key element of quality that they're missing in their squads. And in fairness to Mandrew and Mandreu, he's being facilitated now a bit, isn't he? When Richie Taylor came in, like I think we both said, it was strange that they both wouldn't have been accommodating in the same team for the first couple of weeks. Mandreu was out and Taylor was in, but there seems to be that rhythm to it now, doesn't there? Dylan Watts happy to sit deep with Taylor, Gary O'Neill in there as well. It gives Mandreu that little bit more freedom that he has. And even in these games, like you're saying, when he is quiet, you can guarantee him. You can. He's reliable. He is reliable in them 1v1 chances. And they got them, and I think Shamrock Rovers got them as well a good bit in the second half. I was talking about Pat spending a lot of the first half and early the second half sitting back defensively, but there was moments when they did sort of throw caution to the wind and they were left exposed in 3v2 situations and 1v1 situations. And when you have people like Mandreva in your team, you just can't be getting caught like that.
Yeah. And when you look at the tactics, Stephen Bradley got it really right in the first half. He pushed on. I thought Scales and Gannon down the wings, I thought they didn't really do an awful lot. I don't think they were let do an awful lot. But their purpose in the game wasn't probably to do an awful lot. Their purpose was to push on as far as they could, bring the St. Pat's defence and midfield back with them. I think, as they said in the commentary, Richie Towell and Watts were going out wide. So they were dragging midfielders. And that's probably where the gap came for the first goal. They dragged midfielders out wild. Centre back came in. Grace came in and put that pass in. So I think he got there's a lot of freedom of movement in that Shamrock Rovers team. And when you look at Pats, it wasn't as flexible.
No, Pats was really stagnant at stages. And again, going back, and I think that's one reason why I enjoyed Gaffney's performance today so much. This is another player that you'd associate with being an out-and-out centre striker, isn't it? But you could see that selfless side of him where he's happy to go out into the channels and pick the ball up and allow the likes of Mandreva to go into the middle, or Aaron Green when he came on, go into the middle and pick up the ball. So, yeah, it's really working for them, isn't it? And I think, I don't know if it was just me, I think the way that Shamrock Rovers set up seemed to catch Pats a little bit in the first 20 minutes, half an hour. I don't know if it was the range of movement and the off-the-ball movement, but there always seemed to be plenty of space, didn't there? I thought anyway for a Shamrock Rovers man, and it was strange to see. This is when you think of a St. Pat's defensive performance, you think of organised, diligent, professional, and especially the first 20 minutes or so, that just wasn't there. There was plenty of spaces around, and while it was caging the opening goings, it was always going to be Shamrock Rovers that looked like they hit first blood, and which he did.
Yeah. What did you make of Shamrock Rovers overall? You were saying that you think Gaffney played well. Anyone else stand out for you?
I'm enjoying watching Richie Towell back in the league. I have to be honest with you. I am enjoying Towell. You could see in the first couple of weeks that it's probably just not up to that match fitness, wasn't he? You couldn't really mention anything bad about the quality, about what he was doing. The range of passing was always spot on. His positional awareness. It somewhat reminds me of, obviously as a Pats fan again, just personalising a little bit of when Chris Forrester came back from England. We look at Forrester and Towell. When the first time in the League of Ireland, they were real attacking players. Towell was more of a number 10 compared to Forrester was more of a wide player. But they seem to, as they're maturing in age and maturing in that game, you can see that side, can't you? And with Towell today, he's just happy to sit in deep and command the midfield. I throw Gary O'Neill into that conversation as well. I think Gary O'Neill has been one of the unsung players of the entire season. At the start of the year, we talked about the likes of McCann, and now he's been out for a while now. But in fairness to Gary O'Neill, he slipped into that position seamlessly, and he really has been one of the better midfielders in the league for the entire season.